Okay, guys, welcome. Let's see if this one works. We're having a little technical difficulties with the internet, per usual. When when one of us is in the jungle, it usually is a little tough. But as I say, the Wi-Fi might not be great, but I guarantee you'll find a better connection. All right, let me see if I can get John in here again. There we go. And all right, it's working. Bronco Defense US, welcome. Video in a series of lives that we're doing leading up to the Fight Move Flow 2024 retreat. And there he is. All right.
Here we are.
Boom.
Good.
Only 2 tries that time, so that's not bad.
We've had some good times with the live over the years, you and I.
Yeah, always. All right, we got a nice influx of people joining us. Welcome.
Good.
As I was saying, this is going to be the second live in a series leading up to the Fight Move Flow 2024 retreat.
Yes.
Feel free to comment where you're listening in from and comment any questions along the way. Today, the topic is going to be fight, and we're going to talk all about that. And then the next ones will be all about move and then all about flow.
Yes.
So we're just going to be diving deep into each one. So, yeah.
Yes, sir. So I have
I'm
some
tuning
questions
in from
for you.
Okay. Yeah. I'm in Phoenix right now. John's in Colombia.
Yes.
Yeah. And let's just hop right in, guys. Let's just hop right in. He's got some questions we got lined up.
I got some
thanks,
questions.
guys.
If you guys have questions, of course, you can
Yep.
just drop them there in the comments, and we'll work on that too. Before we get into the questions, Nate, thank you for taking that moment to give a little biographical information. So you're in Phoenix, right? I'm in Colombia. What are you up to with work lately?
Same old, teaching Fight Move Flow is how I break it down now.
Yep.
And that's, mostly jujitsu, movement, and flow training, parkour flow. So online, in person retreats like the one we got coming up in July, and then we're gonna get some workshops on the calendar soon. Some more workshops.
Excellent. Okay. And so from my side, I've got a masculine embodiment process here in Medellin, Colombia. That's coming up on February 18th.
Mm-hmm.
So just DM me for more info if you're here in Medellin and or in Colombia and you're interested in that. Also, I've got the Animal Flow Level 1 coming up April 13th and 14th here in Medellin as well. Quite excited for that. I'll be helping my brother Freddie out in that certification. And then we've got Fight and Flow coming up, right? So that's the big one. I'm quite excited for this. And yeah, so that's a bit of what's been happening here. Lots of cool events coming up. And with that, let's get into some questions. So since you are the SME on the fight portion of this retreat, I'm more like the subject matter supporter, the SMS. Yeah, I've got some background in this stuff as well, but you're the guy with more background in this. So I'll be interviewing you for this part. First question. If I'm a participant, what could I hope to get out of this event? What could I hope for as a result or some type of experience that I might have in doing the fight portion of this event?
Yeah, specifically for fight, I think the biggest takeaway is what we call confidence through competence. And what that is a real confidence, right? You could do all these things and kind of hype yourself up and have a false sense of confidence, or just just your mentality, right?
Quite
but without
common.
the skills, quite common. But without the skills, without the skills to back it up, it's kind of just empty. It's an empty claim. You know, not that you
Yes.
know, not that it's better than nothing, right? You should be confident,
Good to be
but
confident
it's good to be confident, but even better,
if you can
way
back it
better,
up.
yeah, is to actually have the skills to back it up, and that's in anything, and so in reality, when it comes to self defense, it's something you have to train.
Yeah.
It's it's and there's skills that are proven to be more effective than others,
Yeah.
and so we just focus on those. We just focus on what's proven to be effective, and we work to make it not just effective but efficient. So we'll be focusing on majority um, self-defense, jiu-jitsu, Gracie jiu-jitsu, Brazilian jiu-jitsu, um, in a more combative type sense. We're not doing sport BJJ. I'm not going to be teaching you spider guard or relying on gi grips and how to win points in a competition or advantages,
Right.
right? This is going to be focused on how not to get punched in the
Yes.
face, how to manage the distance, how to minimize the damage, and how to stay safe and just get home safely at the end of the day.
Excellent. Right. Okay. So, specifically relating to the BJJ, there is a critique of BJJ. I'm a huge fan. Right. First off, I'm a huge fan, both as a sport application by itself, its application in MMA, and so that's fantastic. But with that said, and also in a self-defense application, I'm a huge fan. Playing devil's advocate,
Mhm.
so to say, there's this argument about, well, in real life, we just don't want to go to the ground.
Right.
We want to just make sure that we're standing up. And so if I'm down on the ground in a self-defense scenario, maybe I've got some guy restrained, but I don't want to go to the ground because somebody's going to come and kick me in the head, his friends, or something like this. What are some responses to that? I mean, I have plenty, but I'd just love to hear whatever your responses might be, because somebody might be thinking that.
Right.
Let's go.
For sure. Yeah, and I like to make this distinction as well whenever people ask me about jiu-jitsu, because people see a very small part of jiu-jitsu, and that is the sport. They just see that it goes to the ground, or people playing intentionally playing for points and just
Right. And
trying
that's
to win the
designed
mats
to
and go
be
to the
on the
ground.
ground.
Right.
That's the
So yeah,
context.
exactly.
Yeah.
And so yes, of course, if you can control the fight and you can avoid the ground, that would be awesome. But guess what? You don't always have control of the fight. You don't always get to say when the fight starts or where it starts. You don't get to say how it goes
Right.
down, right? The common saying is, the fight. You don't always get to choose the fight. The fight sometimes comes to you.
Yeah. And a
And
quick thing that I'd just like to chime in and note there is that, especially for women, sometimes for women it goes to the ground even more often than for men. And uh, just to be very true with my words, when men are trying to rape women, uh, they are putting themselves directly into what could be that woman's best weapon,
right,
which would
right,
be her guard position, right?
exactly,
If she has those tools.
exactly.
So, yeah, okay, that's just a little piece there that I think is really worth mentioning. I think a lot of people aren't aware of that.
Yeah,
He's
yeah.
literally going
So
into her guard if she knows how to put a guard on and how to work from there.
exactly. Yeah, so that's a whole nother consideration, is the worst position for sexual assault is the best position for the person who knows how to use it.
Yes,
So you're turning the worst case scenario into the best case scenario if you know how to use the
yes.
guard. But in going back to going to the ground, you can trip, right? People fall all the time in fights. You could get hit and rock a little bit and you fall on your back. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? So it's not that you're going to have the choice whether it goes to the ground or not, for one.
Yeah.
And for two, if you do go to the ground, wouldn't you like to have the control while you're on the ground
Yeah.
and the ability to get back up?
Yes.
Because if you don't know jiu-jitsu, you don't know how to get back up from somebody that's on top of
Right. You
you.
don't do a lot of getting up and getting down. If you do move net, yeah. But the
Right.
average person, no. That's going to take them like 5 seconds or 10 seconds or God knows, right? Yeah.
Right. And even if you train get-ups, which most people don't, which we
Right.
do in Move now, we do
Right.
natural movement training, we train get-ups. But even if you train them,
You don't
they're
train them in a
different when
combat
someone's
scenario
on
where you
top
have to
of you.
push somebody off, right? And take
Yeah, yeah, you're not getting
immediate distance.
that resistance, that body weight on top of you, maybe even strikes coming in, right?
Right.
Nice, man. Take notes, exactly. Thanks everyone for the comments, by the way, and people following from this video. It's awesome. But so yeah, you number one, you don't always have the choice whether it goes to the
Yeah.
ground or not.
Yeah.
Number two, when it does go to the ground, because somewhere the percentage of 80-90% of fights end up on the ground whether they wanted to or
Right.
not. I guarantee most of them didn't want it to, but they did.
Yes.
You want to be able to fight from the ground. You want to be able to fight from the worst case scenario on your
Yes.
back, right? Where a lot of people think that's losing the fight, but that's been proven where, if you know jiu-jitsu, you
You
know how
win
to
them
win the fight from your
right
back.
there. Yeah.
Exactly. Or if not even winning, like what we're talking about is you don't even have to get the arm right. You don't have to get the triangle choke or the Kimura from the bottom.
Right.
You just have to stay safe. You just have to not
And
get
tire
punched
them
in the face.
out.
That's number
And
one,
help
is
can come. And
just wear them out.
somebody comes and says, hey, what are you doing on top of that person?
Right.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, just tire them out, wait, and then if you can get on top,
Right.
right? There's a path, right? So it's defend, escape, control, submit.
Okay.
We can
And
talk
so
more
this is
about
Gracie Combative's self-defense
this is
methodology.
yeah,
Okay.
this is more like along the principles of Gracie Jiu-Jitsu, the principles of self-defense. Whereas in sport BJJ, we can talk about that distinction. If you're just focused on winning competitions, you're just focusing on the submit. You're focusing at the
Right.
very end of the line,
Right.
right?
Right.
You're
Right.
focused on the
Right.
submit. There's 3 steps before that.
Right. Because
Number one, you
that
just got to
context is
defend yourself.
submitter versus submitter, not an
Right.
attacker or even potential attacker who maybe isn't an attacker yet and maybe doesn't ever have to be versus victim or maybe won't be a
Exactly.
victim. Right. Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay.
So yeah, there's a whole portion of defend where, that's just avoiding the fight at all
Yes.
costs, right?
Yes. And
Like,
having situational awareness. Right.
right. So yeah, that's all tied in with just defend. And then after you defend yourself successfully, then you can think about escaping,
Yes.
right? If you're on the bottom of the fight, if you're trapped, escape, and then you can think about controlling, right?
Yes.
Getting on top and
Yeah.
controlling the
If you
fight.
can't escape.
And, right,
Yeah.
right. And then only then do you think about submission. But
So
number one is just
escalation of
getting up
force.
and getting out
Yeah.
of there.
And
Exactly.
you only escalate force ideally unless you're a psychopath, which some people in our government are, just having been there. But
Right.
unless you're a psychopath, you don't escalate force any more than it needs to be, right? So yes, that sounds great. It sounds both helpful ethically and as far as the law goes. So good.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Okay.
Did that
So
answer the
then,
question?
yes, and the next question going off of that would be, so that was more about the BJJ specifically. And then the next question would be, okay, so if that's all you bring to the table, that's good by itself. That sounds good. You answered that question, but actually you bring a lot more to the table, right? Because you have this Move Nat Combatives framework, which the Gracie Combatives fits inside of. So could you talk a bit more about that and how that gets more into the element of maintaining distance, of situational awareness, of detect, diffuse, defend, so on and so
Mm.
forth. Yeah.
Yeah, so I think that is just focused primarily on, yeah, the biggest thing is with moving paths is just going to be your situational awareness, avoiding the fight. And if you do get in
I was
the
going to say
situation,
being a hard target too. I remember
yeah,
that comment when I was smoking that
yeah.
cigar that day.
Exactly. Yep. Yeah, being a hard target. So that's a good principle we can talk about real quick is, you know, when criminals, when people who want to go out and do harm, to rob, to steal, to sexually assault, whatever, they look for the soft target. What does that mean? That means someone who's not paying attention, who doesn't see them coming, who gives them the advantage of surprise, the element of
Yeah.
surprise. That means someone who probably won't fight back or can't fight
Yeah.
back. Right? And because what do they want? They want it to be easy, right?
Mhm.
Criminals are criminals because they don't want to work hard.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
They want the easy
Yes.
target. They don't want someone who's going to scream, who's going to bring attention, who's going to bring a fight, who's going to bring police, right? None of that.
They want maximum reward
So
with minimum risk.
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. So these are all ways to avoid that completely is just by being a hard target. Be someone who's aware of your surroundings, paying attention, um,
Not walking
maybe
around with the Apple
showing.
Vision.
Yeah, no, I just saw that recently for the first time. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, don't have your VR goggles out on in
Yeah.
public. That's it. Those things that I saw a price tag of like $3,000-$4,000. I'm like, you're wearing those in public, and I just can't take them off your head, and you don't even see it coming.
Jeez. Yeah.
Crazy. It's really crazy. But yeah. So if you see them and you let them know that you see them, you already take away the element of surprise.
Yes.
If you have a confidence in your
Yeah.
posture, right, that kind of bleeds over into movement and things like this, right? Having good strength and good movement is
Yeah.
going to lead to good
Right.
posture. Um, Showing you're confident, that's already enough to deter even more percentage of criminals, right?
Yeah.
Because it looks like, oh, this isn't going to be easy. Um, so those are like two big things you can do right off the bat is, pay attention to your surroundings and have a good
Yeah.
posture. Another good saying we can kind of transition into is don't don't do stupid things with stupid people at stupid places and at stupid times,
Yeah.
right?
Which is, good parenting takes care of a lot of that, right?
Exactly.
But a lot of us didn't have great parenting, maybe, depending on how we look at it. And
Right.
it's also good as adults. Some of us, we have good parenting, and then we go through this rebellious individuation phase, and we like to experiment with things and test the limits and so on and so forth, which is fantastic. I sure did it a lot. But it can be helpful to have a review of these things that some people might call common sense, but that is not so common always, right? So yes.
Exactly. Yeah, and so you can avoid a lot of things by not being out at midnight in a city near dark alleys, with a bunch of drunk people staring at your phone.
Right.
You
And the
can avoid
staring
so
at the
much.
phone is like a key thing, right? Because maybe you just like to do that. Maybe you're in your 20s, early 30s, 50s, whatever, right? Like maybe you like to do that. But then there's there are gradients and a spectrum, right? And then, so if you're going to do that, okay, well then maybe without the earbuds, maybe not do it walking around like this, right?
Mhm. Yeah, and yeah, just not in public generally, unless you're in a generally safe space, but at the same time, not getting completely sucked in, where you haven't looked up from your phone in 10 minutes, even though you're at was seemingly safe cafe or something,
Right, right.
don't get too sucked in.
Yes. Good. Okay. Okay.
Cool.
So that's a little bit about the MoveNat combatives and how that's a kind of a bigger framework than the Gracie, but the Gracie combatives, the system is good to have for if and when it does go to the ground. And then the MoveNat combatives is more about avoiding going to the ground in the first place and striking too, right? So you want to say anything else about the MoveNat combatives and how the integration of the MoveNat combatives with the Gracie combatives could be especially helpful for people from a self-defense training perspective and a mindset perspective that they can take home with them?
Yeah, I mean, in in the Gracie combatives, we definitely teach all those principles and mindsets and
Okay.
all that too, and the rules of engagement and this, that, and the other thing. But I'd say maybe the biggest thing we could get out of MoveNet combatives would be scenarios, training like individual scenarios and stress testing, other things besides grappling techniques,
Yes. Yeah.
basically.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's about it.
I really enjoyed the striking exercises that we did the last
Yeah,
time. Yeah.
yeah. Low stress, low heart rate. Um, it surprises people how much that little bit can get them going.
Yeah. So that was cool. Yeah. So I'm really excited for this to do this together. Good. Okay. So I have some more questions. So next, here's a question. So we've got some women on the call here. So let's just go straight to this, which I think is a good question, really important question. What if I'm a woman? What's this got to do with
Mhm.
me? If I'm a woman,
Yeah.
maybe I don't want to fight.
Mhm.
Maybe I do, but maybe I don't.
Mhm.
Or maybe maybe I like animal flow. MoveNat looks cool. Go run around, barefoot in nature. That's my jam. But maybe I'm not into the fighting thing. Or uh, what about what can this offer me as far as self defense? You're a big guy. It's easy for you to talk about self defense. What can you teach me? Yeah.
Believe me, I'm not a big guy. I train, I train with people all the time who are way bigger, way stronger, twice my size,
Yeah.
and can lift, way more than I can.
Yeah.
But yeah, so there's a lot to that. First, I'll say number one is jujitsu was created for that purpose. It was created for the smaller individual to defend himself and survive against the bigger, stronger, more athletic
Yes.
opponent. Is what is it's how that's like the foundation. That's like you know the simple definition of jujitsu is that,
Mhm.
and how that's done is by using leverage, right? We're not using strength, athleticism, or size. We're using leverage. We're using timing, and just a lot of different principles that are all basically to
Yes.
efficiency. And the goal, right, is to, this is us, the smaller opponent against the bigger, more athletic, stronger opponent. The goal of jiu-jitsu is to conserve our energy while
Mhm.
they burn theirs,
Mhm.
right? And we let them burn their energy until they're tired, and then we can submit them with a chokehold, a joint lock, or honestly, we could just get up and get to safety. That's perfectly all right,
Yeah.
right? Just like we were saying before, you don't have to submit. You just have to defend and then escape and then maybe control and then get out.
Yes. Okay. Yeah.
So, so yeah. And to do with women specifically, because that's just to do with size, right? And it doesn't matter if you're a woman or male.
Yeah.
It's to help you defeat the stronger, bigger, more athletic opponent. To do with women specifically, we have specific techniques tailored towards women. And this is, to do with like sexual assault considerations. There's hair grabbing considerations, right? There's, all these considerations. And, you know, just because, you know, you don't want to, like we said before, sometimes you don't always choose the fight. Sometimes the fight comes to you.
Yeah.
So it's better to have it and not need it.
Better to be,
It's better
yeah,
to train, better, better to train and be ready than to like, oh crap, I wish I had done something earlier, but it's too late
yeah,
now, right?
yes. Better to be a warrior in a garden than a gardener in a war.
Exactly. Yep.
Yeah, yeah, and it's quite nice to be a warrior in a garden.
Right. Yeah.
You know,
Confident,
walking around in the
competent,
garden and enjoying
peaceful.
the garden. Meanwhile,
Exactly.
right? So it's not like,
Exactly.
you got to be walking around the garden killing people or anything like that.
Right.
It's like just be just be there and be ready to serve. So
Yeah. Yeah. I follow a guy, Ronin Tactics,
mhm,
Warrior, um, Ranger, Green Beret, all
mhm.
that. Um, one of his videos recently was talking about how you can't be peaceful until you know war, basically. And it's the same thing. It's like you as well. It's like you find peace only once you've been through war, you
Yeah,
know?
you've pushed it. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
I'd say for so war can be the real war, and there is something to that. And with that said, also just metaphorically, right? Like if you don't push your
Yeah.
limits, you'll never know, and if you do, you will know. Really,
Yeah.
like about yourself as a person,
Yeah.
right? So yes, okay, excellent. Yeah. So
Um,
yes,
yeah, and basically, yeah, it's being prepared for the worst case scenario instead of being unprepared and then not having an answer and then having the worst
yes,
outcome, right?
yes,
If you're the gardener in the war, when the war happens, you're gonna have the worst outcome
right,
versus warrior in the gardens prepared and can handle it.
yes. And ideally, you can be a warrior gardener and a gardener warrior.
Right. Right.
Ideally, but that takes that's a process. Yeah. Okay. Good. Good. Yeah. Animal flows more the gardener side, right?
Yeah.
In a way. In a way. I
Yeah.
mean, it's definitely still gonna help. If all things equal, the same person having done animal flow or not, yeah, they're gonna be better off having done animal flow. But it's more um, animal flows more the expressive side, although there's plenty of strength, conditioning, power, flexibility, mobility, da 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 da. But anyhow, yeah,
Right.
yeah. But it's super helpful for animal flows, super helpful for combat sport athletes, especially to get a lot of the stuff that they might not be getting from whatever they're doing for strength and conditioning already, right? But yeah,
Hmm.
okay. So that's a little
Yeah, I think
side tangent, but yeah,
yeah, I think in our next lives we can we're going to talk about more on how the move and the flow help your fight.
yeah,
Um but one last thing on like for women specifically is one, you're right, most of our viewers or at least half of our viewers are women here and then half of our signups are women as well.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So
More than half. Yeah,
yeah, I
so
think right
far.
now it's more than half. Yep. But that was consistent with last time
Yep.
too. But the point of that is a lot of women don't feel comfortable. They think about or they see jujitsu and they see a 300-pound sweaty guy on top of them, and they don't want that. Understandable. I don't really want that either. And
Me neither. Had that.
Um, I've experienced it early on in my jiu-jitsu career, but not lately, thankfully. But there's no worry about that. You're gonna have other women there with you to
Yes.
train,
Yeah.
and so if you want to only work with a woman, that's perfectly
Yeah.
all
Yeah.
right. We have that option. If you want to experience, a bigger, stronger guy, we can provide that for you well, so you can feel like what it feels like to have someone, resisting what you want to
Yeah.
do because it's the reality. We give that appropriate level of feedback
Yeah.
of resistance to your training, right? So you start out, of course, as 0% resistance, so you can practice and learn. But then we add 10%, 20%, 30%, so you can apply the technique with a little more stress, with a little more resistance, so it's a little more realistic.
Yeah.
And really, that's the only way to train. And it's unfortunate that a lot of, I say jujitsu in general is better at that resistance, at that, than most places. But the scalable resistance, I'd say, is very rare. It's already rare enough to apply, stress test most self-defense martial arts, but in what we're teaching, what we're showing, it's a more scalable resistance, and so we have that option as well. So you feel safe and comfortable the whole time. We're not gonna start swinging out of the gate.
Right.
You might see the photo on the landing page for the retreat of me with a big cockback punch about to hit Ryan, but don't worry, I wasn't actually gonna make his nose bleed or anything.
Yeah.
I,
That
I,
was
I
the
knew he
last
was
day.
ready for that. Yeah, that was after a lot of training, and I knew he was ready for that
Yeah,
type of
he
stress.
was. He was. Yeah. Yes. Awesome. Okay, so another question here. What if I already practice MMA? Okay, so we talked about one possible scenario, one point of view, which might be more of a female, a feminine perspective, feminine-bodied individual. What if I already practice MMA? This is the other side, right? What if I already practice MMA, man? Or another martial art or a combat sport? I'm a boxer. I'm a kickboxer. Or I'm a brown belt in jiu-jitsu. What's this thing gonna do for me? Yeah, let's
Awesome.
hear.
Yeah, so it's very possible that you might not learn anything from fight. If you're a black
Probably.
belt, if you've been training, it's possible. Unless but unless you've been training combative BJJ, I guarantee you're gonna learn something from this. Even if you've been doing sport BJJ your whole life, unless you've trained specifically on how not to get punched in all these positions that you like, guard, half guard, all this, bottom side, bottom mount, all this, then I guarantee there's something you can learn. And of course, if you don't train jiu-jitsu, you train other martial arts, obviously you can learn.
Yeah.
So there's a high chance that you can learn. But even if you knew all the combatives, all the from all the positions, even if you knew all the things we're going to teach in fight, there's going to be another side of fight, which is the move not combative. So you'll learn
Yeah.
something from that,
Yeah.
the principles and mindsets.
Right.
And even if
Which
you
would
knew
be
that, you're
helpful
going to learn
for
something.
any jiu-jitsu guy, big, really deep into that, brown belt,
Yeah.
black belt, whatever, purple belt. And also will be helpful for a boxer, kickboxer, more general
Yeah.
MMA kind of guy, striker, whatever. Yeah, that will be good for
Yeah.
anybody.
If you've only trained like techniques in whatever martial art you're
Yeah,
taught without any of the mindset and principles and like real life examples and considerations and scenarios and all that, then there's something you'll get out of it for
yeah,
sure.
because that's
But let's
not
say,
usually taught in any MMA gym. The MMA gym is
right,
set up for the context of the MMA gym. I'm here, you're there. We're gonna square off. We know what we're doing. We know what we're not doing, and
yeah,
that's kind of that. It's not about scanning, detecting any possible threats in the area, learning how to diffuse those threats by either evading a situation or using choice language
mhm.
and choice, both verbal and body language, to diffuse that, and then only then defending, right? So yeah, this is
So there's that, and then even if you had all that, you're still gonna get stuff out of move and flow, right?
right, which is the other 2/3 of the event. So
Right,
right,
exactly.
right.
So yeah,
But at the very least, a
there's
fun review, but probably a lot more than a fun review for the fight for
yeah,
most people.
exactly. Because I know a lot of people who train how I train and are also instructors in the way I instruct and didn't get into this style, this approach until brown, black belt, and just had their mind blown that, you know, man, you, you never thought about what if someone's trying to punch me in my guard or half guard?
Right. It
It's like
became all about
it's not even a
learning
consideration.
techniques.
Yeah, it's not a consideration when you're just out to win sport BJJ
Right.
competitions. You're not thinking about punches.
Right. Okay. Great. 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 Okay. So here's another question. I'm coming to the
Yeah.
retreat. I'd love to come, or I'm thinking about it. Seems really interesting. Is there anything I can or could or should do to prepare for this event,
Yeah,
specifically for the fight portion?
yeah, definitely. So, we're a part of the retreat package is we're gonna have 6 live group calls that will be recorded if you can't make it live, so you can always watch after. But they're gonna have 6 live group calls to prepare you for the event,
Yeah.
and it's gonna go just in that order. It's gonna go first one's fight, then move, then flow, then fight, then move, then flow. So you're gonna have 2 calls for each section to prepare you for the call, and we'll be going all over movements and things that you can practice at home before you come to the retreat, so you're a little better prepared.
Excellent. Excellent.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so you want to, off the top of my head, I want to say it's May. It's in May somewhere where we start the calls. So you just want to make sure if you want to join those live calls, you just sign up before then.
Yes. Excellent. Excellent. Okay. So here's a question.
Yeah.
It kind of relates to the one for feminine individuals, feminine people, feminine identified people. The next question is similar but not the same. What if I'm a lover, not a fighter, Nate?
Of course. Yeah. I mean, you can't really be, in reality, you can't really be a lover and not a fighter.
Yeah.
Why? Well, for one, balance. But if you're a lover, not a fighter, how are you gonna, protect what you love? You
Yeah.
know,
Ooh, there you go.
if you can't defend what you love, then how can you love it?
Yeah. It's similar to this
Whether that's
idea that, uh, people like the idea of freedom. No
hmm
freedom
hmm
without responsibility.
hmm
It's
hmm
not. It doesn't last. It won't be freedom for long if there's no
exactly.
responsibility, right? So yeah, very
Yeah.
similar. Yeah.
Yeah. And on top of that, the whole jujitsu approach is the perfect approach for the lover. And the reason being is we don't rely on strikes. We don't rely on making someone bloody or breaking something or
Yeah.
pummeling,
Yeah.
right? It's an option
Yeah.
if necessary.
Yeah.
If their situation requires it, we can, of course. But it's jujitsu sometimes is as simple as getting on top of a mount and holding someone down for 3 minutes
Mm-hmm.
until they calm
Yeah.
down.
Restraint.
That's jujitsu. You know,
Yeah.
you don't have to think about the armbar, the choke, or punches or none of that. If you just control somebody until they calm down, that's jujitsu.
Yeah.
How could you express more love to someone randomly tried to attack you, tried to punch you, tried to kick you, tried to stab you? In the more advanced stuff, you get into weapons defenses. How
Yeah.
can you show more love to somebody who tried to hurt or kill you by controlling them until they calm down
Yeah.
and getting back up or whatever you need, right?
Yeah.
um
Right.
and there's
Instead of
so many
kicking
examples of
their
this
ass.
online. Right, yeah, instead of bloodying them back or breaking their arm or something.
Right.
So if there is one martial art for lovers, it's jujitsu. And so I recommend you don't be a lover, not a fighter. You be a lover and a fighter.
Yes. Yes.
I also don't recommend you be a fighter but not a lover.
That's right too.
That's
Yeah.
also
You need to
the
give those guys some
the opposite side.
ayahuasca.
Yeah, some medicine.
Yeah. That's another. That's another good topic, but
Yeah,
we'll save that one for later.
for sure.
Okay. So, well, Nate, you've really convinced? No. Persuaded? No. You've inspired me. You've inspired me to do this retreat. I want to go do it. Where do I sign up?
Yeah, link in bio, of course, if you're on Instagram. If you don't know what that means, if you're maybe 40 plus and don't know, it's fine. Just go to fightmoveflow.com, one word, fightmoveflow.com, and you'll see it right up top, the FMF Retreat 2024. And then yeah, you can look at the everything the retreat's all about. We have all the description there. We have the itinerary, the lodging, all the info that you want to know is there, and this sign up button is there as well.
Fantastic. Fantastic.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's a pretty good overview of the fight portion.
Mhm.
And of course, there's plenty more that we could say, but yeah, that's good for today, I think. With
Yeah.
that said, yeah, just a good quick side note again for people that the fight is very good and very important and integrates very well
Mhm.
with the move and the flow. And so it's
Mhm.
not about
Exactly.
any one of these domains, so to say, by themselves, but actually the holistic integration of these domains that creates a higher order emergent property. That is the fight, move, flow retreat, right? So just the
Mhm.
fight, move, just the fight retreat by itself, that would be cool. That would be a good retreat.
Mhm.
You could learn a lot from that. Anybody could benefit a lot from that. Just the move retreat, the same. Scaled for all
Mhm.
levels, all body types. It's for everybody. We can push you as hard as you want to go. If you think that you know you're tough or whatever, we'll help you. We'll help
Yeah.
you. But for the average person, we'll also help you. Or for somebody who feels less able-bodied, we'll help you.
Yeah.
We'll help you. So there's that. And then the flow, again, fantastic. Just really beautiful, basic, natural movement positions practiced in a way that's very intentional and that becomes expressive and very aesthetically pleasing.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
anybody could benefit from any one of these by themselves, but they're
Mhm.
synergistic.
Mhm.
So if you're interested in the fight, don't know about the others, they'll help you actually with being a better fighter, right? You're interested in the flow, don't know about the others, they'll help you be better flower. So, and then,
Mhm.
the
Mhm.
move is in the middle. If you're into the move, you'll probably already be into the flow and the fight. So, because you've got that idea already, like clear that, you know, we're not made to be we weren't designed, so to say, or adapted or evolved by nature, by evolution, by God, by Buddha mind, by however we want to phrase this, by the universe, however we want to phrase it. We evolved to be multimodal movement creatures. We evolved to breathe. We
Mhm.
evolved to sit and squat and kneel on the ground. We evolved to crawl in lots of different ways, up obstacles, down obstacles, under obstacles, through obstacles, right? We evolved to get up and get down and get up and get down and get up. And sometimes it's with a baby in the arm, and sometimes it's with a log or whatever we need to lift from the ground. We evolved to do that. We evolved to walk. We evolved to run. We evolved to sprint. We evolved to balance. We evolved to lift, to carry, to throw, to catch, to jump, to climb. We evolved to vault. We evolved to swim. And we evolved to fight. But we also evolved to dance, right?
And flow.
Yeah, and flow. So, our society tells us that, oh, you're only good if you're good in some narrow discipline that everybody else recognizes, and you can beat the other person by showing that you're better in a competition, or you make these dance videos. And well, that's great. I'm not against that. I think that's fantastic. And I would also say that for longevity and health of the body mind, having a more complete, holistic, integral practice could be helpful. So,
Yeah.
yeah, that's what we're aiming
And
for.
yeah, we're gonna dive deeper on those move and the flow topics, like I said, in the next two lives. But that's really why me and John started this. Was it a little over 2 years ago? That's why we started this, is because we saw the lack of integration in all these other systems, and we wanted to, kind of bring it all together. Because, like you said, we're about to do all of these things, not just move, not just flow. You don't want to just be a flow boy, and you don't just want to be a fighter. You don't just want to be a mover. You need all these things. So that's why we created this together, and we're really excited to bring it back. This year is going to be even better than the first, and yeah, guys, I'm looking forward to it. And there was something else I was going to say, but I can't remember right now.
Well, we'll
But
have more of these, so that's good.
yeah, so stay tuned, and let us know if you have questions. If someone sends you this video, ask them for a code. Ask us for a code. You can DM John, DM me. We have a code to get you a discount off the retreat.
Yes.
We have special codes. We have bring a friend codes as well. So if you want to travel with a friend, definitely hit us up for that. I'll get you guys a sweet deal.
Yes.
And we have scholarships for veterans, first responders of all sorts. That's funny. As I said that, a first responder just tapped in that I know. So we have special sponsorships for the first responders, the veterans, and also Colombian citizens, since we'll be doing it in Colombia.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm really
Ask us
happy that
about
we'll be able to do that. So,
likewise.
Yeah.
Awesome, guys. Well, I think we covered it.
Yeah. Or at least we started to scratch the edge of the tip of the surface.
Yeah. Oh, one last thing I just remembered. We talked all about fight in the terms of the combative sense.
Yeah.
Hand-to-hand combat, all that, the mindset, the principles. There's other forms of fight that not necessarily we'll be getting into other retreat, like firearms. We have other separate workshops for that, but there's also fighting gravity, right? We think about that as well when we move, right? When we're vaulting and jumping and climbing, we're fighting gravity.
And fear.
We're also fighting fear. Fighting the inner battles too, fighting your inner bitch, right? Doing something you don't really want to do, but it would be good for you. Cold plunge, sauna, getting out into nature and doing something hard or that will benefit you in the long run.
Yeah, absolutely.
Find something new, right?
Yeah. Yeah, that's the bigger picture of fight. Yeah, exactly. It's self-challenge.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Yeah, that's it.
Beautiful,
Awesome,
brother.
Yeah. So the next one, we're gonna plan for next week. So stay tuned for the next live. We're also gonna try to do something special either next week or the one after that, where we get people who signed up to share their experience on why they signed up, and people who've attended share their experience on what their favorite parts and why they attended and all that. So stay tuned for that. We'll keep you updated.
Fantastic. All right, brother. Well, with that said, have a fantastic night where you are, also where I'm at, night, and everybody else, wherever you're at in the world, have a fantastic night, day, morning, noon, afternoon, evening, whatever works for you. Anything in between.
Times.
That's it. That's it. If you're tuning in from outer space, have a good, whatever you call what you're experiencing there.
Cool. All right, guys. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for everyone who stuck around for the whole thing.
Yeah.
That was cool.
Yeah.
May.
Awesome.
A few of y'all for tuning in for the whole thing. And we'll see you soon.
See you soon. Peace.
All right.
God bless.
See you guys.